Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I'm Ricky, today reviewing Power Plants.
Power Plants from Kid Tables Board Game. Now, before we get into this is a Kickstarter. We'll have a link in the description down below. Kickstarter is probably going up shortly, and everything you see is prototype. Very much so. Kids Table Board Games in general, their games have amazing production value. You're seeing the prototype, which is less fancy and cool looking, so make sure to check out the Kickstarter for that. But rules, components, subject to change, all of that. And general idea of this game is Power Plants is an accessible area control game. It's trying to give you area control for families, for Gateway, for kids, giving you your first taste into that genre, or alternatively, a fast and punchy taste for those who are already exposed to it. The general idea of it is on your turn, you're going to grab one of your tiles, and you're going to place one of your tiles somewhere on the board to either take the sprout power, that's going to be the leftmost power, the stronger power of the tile, and if you're seeing the word plant here, that's being changed. So yeah, it's going to be the sprout power of the tile you place, or alternatively, you can take the grow power of the tiles surrounding the tile you place. The slightly weaker, the grow power is a little weaker, but you can get 2 or 3, or sometimes even, if you're rarely, you can get a 4th activation if you do your grow power. So you have to choose between those.
And for example, on my turn, I'm going to place my blue wing bean right here, and I'm going to place one of my meeples and do the sprout action, which means any unlocked patch, there's an edge patch, I get to move. So I'm going to move this one over here.
Yeah. And then you return all rival wizards on it, all rival fairies or whatever they are, sprites, all rival sprites, and you take 3 gems.
And now I'm going to take 3 gems, and since they're removed, the lowest number of a patch.
Well, so let's give a little context there. So we didn't really talk about this. The reason you're doing all this is, like we said already, it's area control. Specifically, the goal of the game is at the end of it is to have as many points as possible. You'll earn some points mid-game, as Ricky just got 3 points for her gems, but also you get points for controlling different patches, and you get different number of points. The larger the general patch, the more points you get. In general, the person who controls the most patches in a general area is going to be the one who gets the points for it. So, going back before Ricky placed her move, the setup on the board was as follows. Let's just go back so you understand this. So basically, we have the 3 rival sprites over there. And right now, on this patch, blue would be controlling it because they control 2 patches to Ricky's 1. On this patch over here, yellow's controlling it because they control 2 patches to Ricky's 1. When Ricky puts out the patch, and generally you put the wizard on there just to mark that that's the active patch. When Ricky puts her patch out, she is going to switch the dynamic to 2 and 2. And whoever controls the lowest number, when you control an equal number, that person is going to be scoring that patch. So Ricky has shifted control of the blue patch to herself.
And I control the 1 patch, which is the lowest.
Correct.
So when I get rid of the number 1 deep root, then it's tied.
Yeah.
So and 5 is lower than.
Yeah, by removing this, it's now 1 and 1, but Ricky controls the 5 as opposed to the 6. It doesn't matter that blue has more people. It only matters who's controlling the most patches, not how many sprites you have on those patches. After that, Ricky's going to refill from the bag, grabbing a tile and putting it down over there. We got another little blue over there, the wing beam.
Of course.
And then we're going to rinse and repeat, going back and forth, all players taking turns, placing down their tiles, trying to activate the abilities, trying to be mindful of both the patterns they are creating, as well as the sprout powers of what they're placing, as well as the grow powers of everything else. So for instance, blue is well set up for a nice patch that goes over here and activates 4 tiles, as well as this one over here. Ricky actually created 2 nice openings for the next people. So while she had a solid turn, blue and I are going to enjoy our turns as well.
You're yellow.
I'm yellow, that's right. Well, blue's over there, we're going clockwise.
Yeah.
But that's basically Power Plants. Place a tile out, rinse and repeat until you trigger endgame, and then after that, just, weigh up the various areas, see who scored points in-game. That's going to be Ricky got some gems over there. Some tiles will allow you to place gems on tiles, and whoever controls those tiles will get them at the end of the game, assuming they still control them, and that's basically it. Last thing to note that I think is worth touching upon is the way the area control works in this game is you always remove other patches first. So some of the actions will involve placing down sprites adjacent to tiles or in different rows or different configurations. Whenever you do that, if Ricky, for example, were to add sprites to this tile, if she were adding 2 sprites to this tile, the first sprite just nets out. So you remove mine and you remove hers, and her second sprite would go down. That's how you manage the addition of sprites on tiles. And with that, that brings us to what we liked, didn't like, and can see others not liking about Power Plants. And Ricky, starting with you, what do you like about the game?
I like the whole thing of like fighting over, and how it's like the lowest score wins and super fun. I don't really like that there's a super.
Hey, we're not up to what we didn't like yet. My turn. What I like about the game. So first of all, it's fast and punchy. This is a game that plays in roughly, it depends on the player count, depends on who you're playing with, but I'd say you're looking at generally in the half an hour range. You're going to be grabbing tiles that have a variety of different abilities, and that's only some of the tiles. We have another 3 over here. You're going to pick 5 to utilize in your game, use those powers, and, well, activate the various abilities. But that means between the tiles you have over here, between the powers you have over there, you'll have different configurations of a puzzle every single time you play. Different configurations of what you place, how you place it, what you're taking into account. You can also see your opponent's pieces. So I can see that Ricky's going to mess me over with a wing bean. If she can get her wing bean over here, that would be problematic. So on the off chance that blue doesn't take that spot, I'm definitely going to take that spot and try to figure out which actions help me out in the game. So it's a lot. It's simultaneously, it's fast, it's punchy, it gives you that taste of area control. It has a variety of powers and abilities. Obviously, like I said already, this is a prototype, so make sure to pay attention to the Kickstarter, see what else is coming up, whether there's more added or any of those. All those things are going to further add to the replayability of the game. As far as what we didn't like about the game.
I really like how there's a super aggressive child, like Snapjaw. Snapjaw is capture a sprite from a field next to a wizard. A field is a patch of multiples. Same. And then add 1 sprite to any patch in that field. As in, let's say I place Snapjaw here, then I could do this, and I keep it for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And it says, in the end game, after field scoring, all players must buy back their own capture sprites from all player. It costs 1 gem each. 1 gem each is and must are both bold, as in you have to lose however many gems that you got. So
you don't like the aggressive aspect of it?
I don't like that how it's like you must buy back, and you like must buy back. You have to pay gems.
Because you don't want to lose points.
Also, it doesn't say what happens if you don't have enough gems.
That's a good question. Well, if you don't have enough gems, I don't know when the sequence triggers.
You lose point.
It could be after points. I don't know the sequence. But yeah, as far as myself for what I don't like about the game, the first thing is that the game takes multiple rounds before you really understand what these powers and abilities are doing. The upside of powers and abilities and different powers and abilities is you have different powers and abilities. The downside of it is you're looking at these and then trying to remember what the various tiles do. So remembering how Tanglethorn works might take a round or 2 before you get into your system, and then next game you might be dealing with a different combination of powers. So it is one of those things where despite having great player aids over here, you have player aids over here, you have your own individual player aids as well, despite having that information, it can take a few rounds before things start to click in the game. Secondly, I don't love the fact that there is a bit of a end turn advantage in the game, and again, this is worth noting, prototype subject to change, I know they're looking into it, but effectively at the end of the game, whoever goes last in the game has a strong advantage over determining how the battle sways, because they get that last placement, they can take over something from someone else, whether it's a large section, they can have a large effect in the game with the very last placement that you can't do anything about. And again, I know they're looking into it, I know they're checking out options to try to balance or adjust the rules around it, but it's worth noting that right now that is a bit of a last player advantage in the game. Anything else that you don't like? As far as what we can see others not liking in the game. For myself, primarily it's going to be that this falls into an interesting spot of it being kid-focused, family-focused, or gateway-focused, but as an area control game, it's punchy and mean, as Ricky touched upon already. There's a lot of taking things away from other players in this game. There's a lot of placing a tile down and messing with others in a way that suddenly knocks off 3 or 4 of their pieces and control, and then gives you the control you're looking for. So on the one hand, it's area control, it's introducing area control, which is great. On the other hand, it's one of those things where the people playing this game, especially if they are kids and families, will have to mentally adjust to the fact that this is a meaner game than the typical game that Kids Table board games tends to put out. It's a little more aggressive, and that's something that you have to be okay with. Anything for you that you can see others not liking?
It goes super fast. It doesn't really sink in how fast it goes until you've done 3 rounds and it's the last round, and you've barely done anything and the game's almost over.
Yeah, it is a fast-moving game. You get a bunch of placements down.
Like you have enough time to do anything, and I feel like it might just be like la la la, and you might get super excited, but then you realize it's the last round, and you can't do anything. So hopefully I get something good to do in the next few rounds, and then you're like, oh, it's my last turn. How could I not realize that?
As far as final thoughts and rating, Ricky, do you want to go first?
Yeah. My final thoughts would be it's kind of cute how they put little stories for each plant.
Oh, I never even noticed that.
Yeah,
Which sounds about right for one of these reviews. Yeah, the wing bin. The fluttering wing bin can't be contained. It roams all around a garden, uprooting plants and rearranging them unpredictably. There's actually a whole theme over here about how your wizard is fighting over a magical patch that you're trying to share the garden space to plant your mystical herbs. I didn't touch upon any of that, but that is all there in the game.
Yeah, and like starflowers react intensely to nearby sprites, throwing off ripples of magical energy that solidify into gems. Their petals add power to any incantation, which is why you put 5 gems on it. And every time there's a starflower, and it's basically fight over territory, fight.
So final thoughts on rating?
My rating, I would say a 3. It's a good game, and I like the idea of it, but it moves too fast, and it can be kind of aggressive.
Gotcha. So 3 out of 5 to be very clear. Rating scales down below, you can check that out. But a 3 is a good game, an enjoyable game that you, well, had fun playing. For myself, it's going to be a 3 as well. I enjoy power plants, but it's interesting in terms of how and where you're playing it. If you're comparing it as a kid-focused, family-focused game, then it would be higher. It would be a 4 or whatever. I have a lot of fun playing this one, and the 30-minute playtime combined with the punchy area control, combined with the powers and abilities, there's a lot going on that I do enjoy about the game. So if you're focusing on a kid or a family game, which it very much is, then it's a solid recommendation. As far as if you're looking at it as something that you're looking to add to your own area control repertoire compared to other heavier area control games, well, it's a lot lighter and a little more chaotic and a little bit more random. I enjoy it. It's fast and punchy, but the degree of strategy and control you have over it, especially in a multiplayer game, lots of things are changing very quickly, as Ricky said. Things are changing, things are happening, there's a little bit of a last player advantage, there's lots of powers and abilities, both to help yourself as you play, but also that will get in the way and take down your own thing. So, in terms of general area control, it's a 3. In terms of if you're focusing on as a family-focused, kid-friendly game, for me it's a 4. Although Ricky does seem to fall into the category of those who don't appreciate having her sprites taken off the table. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I'm Ricky.
And have a good one.